What's up, everyone? Welcome. We are live right now on Cannabis, and if you're joining us on YouTube or on your podcast feeds, thank you so much for joining us. We are so stoked to have you. We have a great show today. We are interviewing the dude from the Dude Grows Show. So we shout out to the DGC, everyone out in the audience. I know we have a lot of people in our audience that are members of the DGC. So shout out to you guys. We're going to be talking to the dude today. But before we do, I have some shout outs that we need to make as well. First off, shout out to everyone in the Cannabis community. We have our community we're live streaming to right now. People can join us and watch us live, jump in the chat. We do giveaways every month. I just sent out a bunch of Lost Coast plant therapy samples a couple weeks ago. So join us over there. We'd love to have you. Search Cannabis in the App Store and join the app, and then use the code GROWERSLOVE for 50% off your first month. We really appreciate your support. You can join for as little as $4.20 a month. Also, shout out to Lost Coast Plant Therapy. We were just talking about them before we went live on the stream. It's a really great spray. I use it every other day, basically, in my grow, in my basement, because I'm battling all sorts of bugs that love to live in my basement. But I have like some other plants down there, and I need Lost Coast Plant Therapy to help me get through some various things that I have to go through down there, and it just helps me so much. So check out Lost Coast Plant Therapy. You can go to their website, or you can search it up on Amazon. It's a really great spray to battle bugs, mold, all that kind of stuff. Also, shout out to SacredThreeMushrooms.com. You can get a fungi home grow kit, so you can grow your own fungi at home with a really simple kit. It's for about $80. You can grab that on their website, and you can even, I was going to say download. You can buy spores, so you can figure out how to source those, which, to be honest, was really tricky before Sacred Three Mushrooms came in and they started supplying spores. So check them out, and shout out to those guys. And then our last couple shout outs, I'm going to throw over to JR, and then we'll get right into the interview.
Excellent. Thanks, Q. So first, we're going to talk about some Tiki announcements. Tiki has a summer luau sale going on for May and June, and that's 40% off of seeds plus a free seed pack at TikiSeeds.com. And then on the clone side, TikiCuts, you got 40% off clones plus a free clone. And I just took advantage of that. I got the Hawaiian snow cone, and I got my free cut with it. So I'm pretty excited about that. That'll be some offerings we have. And then I wanted to talk about NeptuneSeedbank. Neptune is always really generous to us. And this week we're featuring offering from Raw Genetics that Brad's doing. He has a box set out right now that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his varieties from his Z line. And the Z line is also, this box set is also not only going to have the genetics, but Brad's making it fun. He's got some golden tickets in there. And if you score the golden ticket, you'll be able to have a shopping spree, a pretty substantial shopping spree on the website. So check that out at NeptuneSeedbank.com. And you can also check out Brad at rawgenetics.io. And yeah, that's what the boys have to offer today.
Awesome. Well, shout out to our supporters. Really appreciate all of you for helping make this stuff possible. But now let's get into the interview. So, like I was saying, we've got the dude from the Dude Grows Show. The Dude Grows Show has been around. You just hit like a episode milestone recently, wasn't it? How long has the Dude Grows Show been around?
Well, first off, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me, man. You guys have been in the community for quite a minute, too. We got OG DGC JR. And yeah, Q, we've been to a few events and hung out. Not enough, but you're recently a father, so a little bit of I don't want to call it lockdown time, like to make it sound bad. But man, 10 years to answer your question. Wow. We've been rocking. And yeah, I think it was mainly started and influenced by when we in Colorado, the first state to go rec, fully legal, was Colorado. So I think that was should know that number, 2012, I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of actually leads me into one of the questions as we started the interview. You went from a prohibition state in Florida to a fairly progressive region of Colorado, and then you moved to BC, which is a very progressive type community in place. So, how has that impacted your view on legalization and how access should be to the citizens of the people?
I mean, as far as my view on legalization, that's broad, that's deep, JR. I would say going from Florida, where you started, Florida, I mean, I didn't really grow. I grew one seed under 100-watt swirly compact fluorescent bulb, and still it started to make my studio apartment with my girl at the time just start to smell. We didn't get the flower, we didn't get the bud. It was just, let's see what it's. Sometimes it was hard to believe what you're paying for like an eighth, 50 and eighth days.
Right.
And then say, oh, dude, I found the seed. This actually grows a plant. So, but couldn't really go further with it down there due to it was pretty, if you know the show, Scotty grew down there, but there were some serious penalties, man. You go away with mandatory minimums at certain plant counts. And then when it was time to get out of Florida after my wife graduated from college, I was like, I want to go somewhere. I want to be by the mountains. I want to go out in the mountains and going to Colorado already when I got there, because I got there when I got there, they had medical. And then basically I also, met with an attorney, because those are the days, hey, get an attorney on. If you have a little money, get a little retainer, make sure, hey, if I get in trouble with this 4-lighter, what's worst case? And they break it down and be like, okay, that's worth it. And okay, thumbs up, sounds worth it. Let's grow. And then, yeah, moving, and that was for 10 years or so in Colorado. And then to BC was an easy transition. Like you said, it's been embedded in the culture here longer than almost anywhere down in the States. BC bud, beasters,
The
very
Beasters.
normalized. It was the first place I've seen. Vancouver is like a very expensive place to live worldwide. And so a lot of people will rent their basement suites out. So the family will live upstairs and then they can afford to live here. But the basement suites, they'll rent out to people, whatever, single guy in construction. But the rule is no smoking in the suites. So when I first moved here in the neighborhood, it was really cool I'd see like a dude like sitting out by the sidewalk in a lawn chair with a bong
Mm.
next to him on a little camp table. And at the same time, 3 blocks over is an elementary school. People with families would be passing by. I'm like, nobody gives a shit, man. Like nobody cares. So that's how culture, should be. If you don't like my fire, don't come around. I'm not causing no harm. Throw some Ben Harper in there, and I think we're getting there, dude. There might be a lot of people not screaming at it. There's still definitely prohibition and stigma out there, definitely. But overall, I think we're moving pretty good for the people, JR.
Right. Well, and Canada went like fully legal like right before you moved there. Maybe what, like a year or so before you moved there?
Oh yeah, it's the Freedom 4, baby. Yeah, we can grow 4 plants. In BC, it really doesn't matter because it's almost like, cops mentality is like, man, you got to have like at least a few pounds and be annoying me to even look your way, as far
Yeah.
as growing goes. Nobody's enforcing the plant count unless, I don't know. I don't even think if you had it, let's say some unrelated accident at your house and they notice, unless your house is a full grow. And I see that across the board up here, which I still don't fully understand. I've lived here for 5 years now, where there's actually ads on Facebook that will take you to a site in Canada that sells psychedelic mushrooms, weed, all that jazz, like on the up and up, but they're not technically, that's completely legal. So the enforcement is really weird, I see
Yeah.
here as well.
Well,
But yeah.
if I can, dude, I think that kind of speaks to the resources it takes to do all of that enforcement. You could imagine the amount of resources it would take to plant count everybody in Canada. I mean, give me a break. They
Yeah.
just don't have the resources to enforce it. And like you said, in most cases, and I can even speak to that here in Oregon, and Sam probably can in California, it's just the lowest priority for our law enforcement. It is just not
Most
even a
places,
priority.
they got their hands full with enough usually, and pretend, yeah, having new hires for the police force and things they deal with. Yeah, they're like, screw cannabis.
Right.
Yeah, right. Right.
Well,
Not everywhere. Now I know some people would be like, damn, I got pulled over the other day, and get this and that, but most of them are pretty cool.
Right. Well, speaking of growing at home and plant counts and stuff like that, are you growing these days? And what sort of growing do you got going on over there?
I just fired back up. I was off for like after last harvest, maybe a month or two, which is nice, man. When I got just plenty of bud, the Canadians they're shared. Canadian DGC, shout out to all y'all. Kuzmas, J Pen, O Cannabis 613, some more cats I'm forgetting, but they share plenty of bud. So it's nice to be able to take time off and not feel I have to be on this schedule. But I got it going again. I had to time it too to where DGC Cup's coming up. I didn't want to be out of town when I was taking clones. I always try to time the grow with going out of town to be the easiest point to take care of, which right now my grow's in early veg. I just transplanted like 4 days ago. So, and some grow dots. So, like, that's pretty easy time for me to go and be like, all right, boy, put that boy in charge of the grow, even though I'll still call him every single day. Like, all you got to do is come in here and water. And so, yeah, the grows in, I have 6 from Feminized Seed, Falcon Heavy from Exotic going, some I don't have them all in front of me, but those another grower in the hood wanted me to grow out and try and do a mini pheno hunt from a 6-pack. So fun stuff, man. And summertime is coming, so it'll be the first time this grow ran in the summer, so it's nice. I get excited to test out all my HVAC stuff. And shout out to when you're doing all this stuff, pulse grow, man. Having that meter, I say this on the show, it's not even just like an ad, it's so dial when you're got new grow coming in, new gear, a different time of season. I've never grown in the summer, when I can always look at what's going on in my grow right then and there. It's just a lot easier. Plus my grow's in a detached garage, not I gotta walk like 15 feet to get to it. I know, JR, you're a little easier. You can literally like, walk 10 feet across from your living area, which is super convenient. So
Yeah, but sometimes walking 10 feet is something I can't do. So having that monitor, I could literally be dying in bed and know that my dry room, because right now I'm in drying and every hour is important. And so like those first 3 days, they're just pumping out moisture. But then after about 3 or 4 days, all that humidity stops, and it starts to get dry in there. And so then I got to be on top of it and make my adjustments. So being able to hit that pulse monitor and know exactly where things are, at all times. And like you said, the modern technology we have nowadays with, FaceTime, to be able to FaceTime whoever's doing your garden.
oh yeah.
And hey, just let me look at my plants. I'll tell you what they need, that kind of thing. All that stuff is paramount, man. But I want to kind of talk more about your style, dude, because I mean, I kind of started following your style of growing when I kind of locked into the Dude Grow Show. I was on this journey of learning about microbes, but then I had always been started from what the grow shop guys tell you to grow with, which is usually some kind of synganic or some kind of synthetic solution. So I started running this, the term that you kind of coined as the synganic approach. And it's been my growth style for the last probably, a long time. And so I just wanted to ask you about that kind of that synganic approach. How did you fall on to that kind of style of growing?
I don't know, one thing that comes to mind. I mean, first, whatever, synganics is a made up word that actually it flows. So it's synthetic and organic nutrients, 2 different inputs. There's nothing too crazy about it. I'm growing in grow dots now, so when I top dress with a little insect frass if I want, or if I'm a top dress with a little bit, Gaia Green is a pretty popular dry amendment here, as far a company that carries different, meals and alfalfa meal, this and that, and adding any type of little bit of funk. I know you like, and I do too, liquid Big Bud, not Big Bud,
Big Bloom.
Big Bloom,
Yeah,
Fox Farm.
Big Bloom. Yeah.
Yeah. That one's a pretty good mix. Although after recently reading more, I think it has back guano in it, or seed. I think a little
it does.
on that product.
That's the only thing that's kind of the craw in it is the back guano. That's not a very sustainable source thing.
So I'm not adding any quote meat and potatoes, any solid hard NPK. I already have that in my base nutrition. But adding other inputs that you prefer, worm castings, which I'm starting to lean away from because they always seem to bring me fungus gnats. Some people might say that's the source. It could be any type of organic, like compost or anything I add in like that. Usually always ups my fungus gnat battle a bit. And yeah, that's synganics, man. There's so many different ways you could do it. They all play together. Oh, I forgot. One other thing was I pictured as a microbe, a variety of microbes in our rhizosphere, right? In a root zone. They like sugars. Recharge has, that's why it has molasses in it. It's like pouring a party ready to go into the soil. But I figured, what if they like eating other sugars? And I was looking at other types, maybe if they have some microbes might like this food more than this food. So there was another product from Fox Farm. I forgot what it was, but it was a type of sweetener derived from beets, I think it might have
Yeah.
been. Or
Yeah.
sweet potatoes or something. But I'm like, heck,
Yeah.
let's add a different sugar source in here. We don't want to overcomplicate things, but playing around that way to see what the microbes might react to a little bit more. Hard to gauge, but not doing any harm.
The homeboys have been turning me on to the organic raw brown sugar, because brown sugar's got the sugar source with the molasses still in it. So it's kind of like
Unsulfured, right?
Yeah. So you're
So what do
getting
you do
kind of
with
the.
it? Are you like doing like a compost tea or what?
No, you're just basically adding it in. Like for me, I would just add it into my res as like a sugar source.
Oh,
But
wow.
for me, I use recharge all the way up to like week 5 of flower. So my sugar source is pretty covered, because the molasses in recharge is pretty much a good enough food source to get them feeling groovy. And but like I said, I do add after week 5, I do add a supplemented sugar, and usually it's a blackstrap molasses, just because it's cheap. I can get the unsulfured molasses from the farm store for like, geez, it's like $18 for a 5-gallon bucket. And the thing about molasses, the other thing about molasses is there's a lot of other nutrients in there, as far as like mineral resources, iron, and all that kind of stuff. So if you look at what molasses brings to the table, it's a really good sugar source. Like dude says, it's good to diversify that kind of stuff too. I know, like we had Brad on, and he was talking about the sugar source that he was using, and it uses like cane sugar and stuff like that. So I think all that stuff is kind of cool to keep the microbes happy and all that.
Well, yeah, I guess on that point, because I was just actually, before we were recording, I was listening to a Build a Soil episode, that from his YouTube channel, and he mentioned something about how he still uses sugars at the end because that's what the old heads use, and the old heads make great hash and they use sugars. So, don't fuck with what's working. You know what I mean? If it's not broken, don't fix it. So just curious if you guys could drop some knowledge on what you think that, that sugar, I guess, is contributing to your flowers kind of right towards the end there, right before harvest.
I think it's just microbe food, and the microbes are doing the work and having that relationship with the plant, and the plant's telling them what they need. And since they're happy with those sugars, everything's just working efficiently. I mean, I used to think like you would add back in the day, General Hydroponics had like a pineapple sweetener or a blueberry sweetener, and they had these different if you add that towards the end, you're going to get these flavors. You're not going to get those flavors. You can't add flavor to a strain like that. But it was sugars, and again, I think I would hear growers would get, because I'm not what would I say, a microbiologist as far as microbe knowledge goes, but those different sugars would have, or different products would have different sugars in them, and I think the growers would be saying, "Oh, I got this effect," because it affects different microbe populations. Would be my bro science, but I believe there's some science to it.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I agree with that microbe food. And like dude says, that's how the chemistry happens between the root zone and the microbe, is there's an exchange there. And so the boost up your microbe population in the way that they're able to create those exchanges, because the plant's going to tell the microbe, hey, I need this. And then through chemistry, it's going to happen. And let's make no mistake, the plant roots are not sucking up any sugar. That's not happening. It's all about, like dude said, it's all about those microbial boosts and population. Now you're in the Northwest like me, and the water there is super soft. So can you kind of talk about how you deal with the water and how that kind of
well water, but what do you mean by super soft? Just as far as not much, and it's minerals based as far as calcium or ppm.
Or even
I
like
mean, I'm pretty close. Like my well water reads out at, I think, maybe 100. I don't know. What's my tap water? was even lower here in British Columbia. And I don't know where you're at. It depends on what your water source is, but you're asking, do I add anything extra being that it's, lower in mineral content?
Yeah, just like for me, like I noticed that my plants seem to be a little mag hungry, and I attribute it to the fact that my water is so soft. Like there's like very like if I do the strip test on like my spa, it'll tell you how hard or soft your water is. My water is like off the charts soft, and so it makes me think. And I notice like even in veg and in flower, I'm always throwing in a dash of Epsom here and there just to kind of keep that veining from happening. And I just kind of always attributed it to how soft the water was. And I thought when you were feeding your outdoor or something like that, you had to do something to your water to change it so that it wasn't so soft. But that was a couple seasons.
I think maybe it was Elemental before. That's like a powdered Roots Organics. Roots, the company, they have some decent dry powders and whatnot. But overall, I recommend, as far as on the subject, your base nutrient technically is designed like to pair with if you're running just from zero. Because if you're in a commercial grow, people want to be able to replicate the recipe to another grower, to somebody else with a starting point of pretty much nothing in the water. Is that going to happen with all strains? No. I wouldn't add any Epsom salt, any CalMag, unless you have the good eye, like you noticed, Jared. Notice stuff early. I'm always a fan of trying to figure out just what will work the base before adding much anything else. That's what I know I'm trying to do with the grow dots. Doesn't always work by any means. But yeah, I'm not adding a ton because I think, my ppm and my well being at, it has a little bit of calcium in it at that about 100, 110 ppm. But I haven't had issues. Good point, though. Check your water sources, pH as well. Know your starting points. We just talked about that on the show. It's easy to do. Just get some test strips if you want. Don't sweat getting pens and all that. You get a little liquid shaker as well. Those are solid state, baby. No batteries.
Yeah. And if you do have a pen and you have a solution that says 7.0 and you dip it in there and it says 7.0, you're good. If it doesn't say 7.0, then you either need to calibrate the pen or toss it,
What if you put it in the 4.0 solution and it doesn't read right? And then you go back to the 7 and then you go back and forth and you're just getting
That's when you toss the
at
piece of shit and you get another one.
Well, we've got a bunch of people in our live chat from our community, the Cannabis community. I mentioned them at the top of the show. So we're going to give away this recharge hat to one of the live viewers at the end of the stream. I'll do like a random giveaway from everyone that joined the stream. So shout out to everyone in our community. But on the topic of recharge and the real growers, let's talk about grow dots. I've been using grow dots quite a bit. It's been helping me.
I don't know. Scotty's burnt me out on this conversation. Just kidding.
So, on the topic of grow dots, I was just going to mention that I've been using them to get my mother plants through the winter so that I have clones ready to go outdoors. But let's hear about how you use grow dots. How do you use grow dots in your grow?
I mean, honestly, the first full grow, I've ran them on a plant. One plant, this is the first time I'm like, let's try this on one plant. I don't recall the dose. It was too heavy. I didn't like how it didn't fade at all. This last grow, I ran grow dots on 17 plants. No, 12 plants. And then I did another 4. I just did, I mixed in a bloom formula from Gaia Green, which is like an organic powder with different meals and this and that in it. But the dots, it was interesting. I like to have control with my bottles. That's always grown a little bit. And to be honest, there's 10 plants. These are orange gasms from Feminized Clone that they harvested fine. They put out some great bud. The leaves got pretty damn angry at week 7, 8. I didn't have any. I was like, what, I can't do anything here. The dots are just running along. So I still kind of struggle with that. I call it the lack of control. When you amend your soil, the same can happen amending the soil organically, man. Once you do it, you're not pulling things back out. But overall, I'm excited to give them another grow. The ease of use is just a no-brainer. Like I said, going out of town, I don't want to tell people to do anything. Just don't pH, don't do nothing. Fill this watering can and hit each plant for 4 seconds. That's it. If you screw that up, man. But and for me too, It enables me to have more time doing some other fun stuff in the grow, hanging with the plants. I don't want to like mix nutrients together in res and just I don't know. It's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we have great products. I talk about can A and B. We talk about New Mill as a good line. I question if you run those lines as like an awesome grower properly, you could tweak here and there and have a better inputs at different times in the grow versus an all-in-one, easy to use nutrition. But as far as easy peasy, 2 thumbs up. As far as being able to control it, if you want full control, there's some challenges there with adding anything to your media as a full 1-part nutrition.
I do think I think it's a good starting point for new growers and people who have busy lifestyles. I mean, not everybody has a lifestyle that can dedicate every hour, not necessarily every hour, but you know what I mean? Not everybody can always be at their garden all the time. And so to be able to produce something that's fully awesome without really having to put as much effort or knowledge into it is not a bad thing. I mean, it's all about creating access for folks.
Yeah.
The more we get people growing and the more we get people sharing what they grow, the better off we are going to be as we move forward in whatever this wacky world has to offer us.
Yeah, I try to read people when I worked hydro and like you're recommending, I'm like trying to be like, what nutrient line is going to be good for this person? And sometimes you'd show people like, okay, here's an A and B grow and here's an A and B bloom. And they're like, 4 bottles already? Like, I'm out. So it's good to have nice access, and I agree with you. Get more people growing. If that's the one barrier, then I'm all for easy nutrition for your plants.
Yeah, as legalization's kind of trickled its way across the states, I get random relatives of mine hitting me up and like, oh, I want to grow, and it's just so challenging when you're dealing with someone because they don't want to go down the rabbit hole and become a full grow nerd, so something like Grow Dots I think is super helpful to someone like that as well. But let's talk about one of my favorite topics, which is outdoor growing. Have you messed with outdoor growing in BC, up in Canada where you are? And if so, what kind of pro tips do you have to get through all that Mother Nature throws at you when you're growing outdoors?
Before we start, I just want to say, if you notice the dude's pain, he was rocking in pain. So go ahead, dude. I just wanted to say that.
I definitely can't call myself a pro grower in BC. I think that takes quite a few seasons under your belt to understand all the parameters. Maybe you have that special strain that is hardy enough to stand up to bud rot, but I've had it every single time. One time I actually got 80% of a plant down outdoors that was actually pretty decent bud. That was nice. That was just like it hooked people up bud. But overall I'm not into it anymore because if my indoor grow's going, I can't be growing outside. I'll screw it up. I almost caught myself yesterday because it's time of year I was out pruning back invasive blackberries because they are just crazy if you don't keep on them. And it's like, oh man, I got to water my grow. I'm in a plant state of mind. Then I'm like, dude, you got to go in. You got to wash your feet. You got to at least do something. And what I ended up doing, this is like a half cheat, is I have an air compressor. I'm like, just blow yourself like crazy all off. So I'm just do that. And I'm like, I was kind of in a rush, but the cross contamination and the small like mold spore could be anywhere. It could be like in my nose, on my hair. I don't know. So no more outdoor growing and I know there are a few strains I'd probably have better success with here that are resistant. There's definitely more, and this is specifically bud rot I'm talking about. Trias, powdery mildew hasn't been a horrible issue for me here. But I don't want to discourage people as far as wherever you're at. Throw a 5-gal out in the sun, man. Do an auto so you finish early and just try one plant. Have fun with it. It's free. It's the best environment for it. Who cares? What if your plant gets taken by bud rot, bugs, and everything? At least you tried. That's not much of an investment.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, or plant a light depth. If you could really plan a simple light depth and just pull it off early, get out of there by the middle or end of August, right, dude? And then because you don't want to look at September, October, because that could be shitville. Really, it can. So now, dude,
light depth.
Sorry, right? Yeah, right. Hoop house. No. Anyways, dude, you're in a very, very, very beautiful part of the world. You happen to be in a part of what I feel like is one of the most beautiful rainforest areas that planet Earth has to offer. Now that Now that you've kind of been there, I mean, your children are being raised there, and now it's become a part of who you are. Can you kind of talk about your connection to the land and how that's impacted your mountain biking and everything about your life?
Everything about my life with my connection to the land. All right.
Yeah, the land that you're from now, dude. Really, because I really feel like you're from BC. You've really taken on that place as like your home. And I think everywhere that we call home, we have a connection to the land. We have a connection to everything around us. And I feel like it impacts us. It creates our energy. And even the show you guys were talking about the other day about your vibe, you know, you're kind of joking around about your vibe, but you're amongst ancient shit, man. And some of those trees have been around for a fucking long time, bro.
Yeah, it puts you in perspective for sure when you're next to a tree that you're like just massive. And it's the connection is for me, it's just anytime you can be out in nature doing something, start to realize, you know, how good it is, how good this is for you. Deep breaths of nice air, and I mean, it keeps you grounded. Oh, we covered that on the show, grounding. I got to go do some grounding actually. That's grounding's where you're anywhere you're at. You can go out barefoot. You got to ground there if there's a whole
word
cult in a good way, not a bad way. I feel like people associate negativity with cults. But also up here, you're right, man. This place is magical. When you're in the forest or a place where you can, you know, just great views. It's where the ocean meets the rainforest and all that. It's really awesome, and it keeps you wanting to stay. I mean, as far as saying I'm from here, man, there's like I don't know. I think you got to live somewhere longer to be from somewhere, but really you're from wherever your home is at the time as well. And I'll go off forever on, you know me, that you're looking at my shirt. The biking here is something I've been passionate about like a good part of my life. And this place is insane. If you mountain bike, come to BC. Should be on your hit list, man. Should be on your hit list. And I just saw Xavier Rudd last night, JR, by the way, here.
Oh, wow. Fantastic, man.
At Stanley Park. It was very interesting. Shout out. Very good artist. I saw Xavier JR in Portland as well.
Yeah, good times. Good times. Well, we're moving on now, dude. We're going to start talking about the Dude Grows Cup. It's coming up June 1st. So what's new with the event this year that maybe something people should be excited for?
Man, my mind has been on this a lot. You're right. It's coming up right around the corner here. What's new? That there's more strains than there was last year. That's new. We capped it at just about 50 last year. This year there's 75 home grower competitors. When I was like, man, are you sure we should have more than 50 strains? And Banner and Scotty like, you don't like more weed? I was kind of like, okay, so screw it. So that being said, we upped our tent by another 60 feet. We got more bud tenders, you know, class it up a little bit. We got some shout out to Verts in Fort Collins, Colorado. We got some actual bud tenders, and our head bud tender, Preston, works there. And just up in it's fun to make an event flow and make sure, for me, I stress on breaking the stoner stereotype. Like, what did I forget? I try to walk myself through the event all the time. You know, I want everybody to have a great experience. And it represents, you know, I've been to events too in this industry where it's like, come on, man, like we need to represent better than this. You know, I get it, but let's class it up a little bit. So you never know who's going to be there, who might be eyeing it up or might want to write something about it or review it. So that gives me what I call now, JR and Q, I'm in the prevent semi-anxiety stage. Because everything's running real smooth, but I think it's because we started planning in January. So super stoked. DGCCup.com. Anybody hearing this, we still got judges tickets available Saturday, June 1st, right out of Fort Collins, Colorado. We're going to miss you guys this year. Q, I know you're, like I said, you're taking care of the baby, and JR is hopefully just getting a lot better soon. A lot better.
Yeah.
Working on it, dude.
I've got a 5-month-old still asleep, thankfully, right over there. But I was just going to shout out the Dude Grows Cup. You know, I've gone to at least a few now over the last, 5 years, I guess. And it kind of is like one of the only great cannabis events that are still left, to be honest with you, that still has the vibe
Cheers.
that I think we all want when we go to these sorts of events. And if you're fortunate enough to have gone to cannabis events, you know, in 2016, 2017, even 2018, in a lot of states, those were kind of ended up being kind of like the heyday, so to speak, or even, you know, I'm sure prior to that they were even more awesome. But anyways, that kind of that time ended, and now when legalization happened, events started getting more tightened up and more lame, basically. And the Dude Grows Cup is such a chill event. It's very community based. Obviously, folks are listeners of the Dude Grows show, so you have that in common. You can always fall back on that and just bullshit about the Dude Grows crew if you don't know what to talk about, you know, or just growing. Growing is like the easiest conversation starter. Like, hey man, what are you growing? It's just a really great time. And also I'll just mention, you guys kind of cultivated this like marketplace kind of vibe now with the outdoor tent, and that is really cool because you've got kind of the judging area where there's the weed to smoke, and then you've kind of got this marketplace kind of vibe going on of folks from the community that have their own side hustles. And so it's really cool. It's like this whole ecosystem of people that are all hanging out. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's yeah, I see in the format here. Tell folks how the competition works, and I'll agree with this is where Scotty be like, it's a cooperation. Really, I mean, there's 75 strains, so there's gonna be so much good flower. Is it gonna be completely fair? Do I say that first, second, and third are better than every other strain there? Entering the cup, sure, you could definitely place and get a nice grower prize pack. That would be awesome. But it's really about you're coming there to show off. You're coming there to show off your weed, man. Be like, dude, check out what I grew. And just hang out and, like you said, network. I love the fact we are kind of like this year. There's more breeders and going to be more genetics and other things there. We'll say than any year as far as the marketplace goes. So I do love that vibe.
I can't really talk much about it. This will be the first time in 7 years that I haven't been there. And I have
Jerry,
a booth.
make me sad.
Tiki made me a booth. Yeah, it's a beautiful booth that I could have if I had, you know.
We're gonna get you a stand-up.
I have lots of seeds.
Yeah, exactly.
Brad donated some raw genetics, so first and second place will be getting a pack of cherry paloma, and third place will be getting a pack of blue slushies, which you all know how far those are. Neptune for the seed swap on the night on Friday night. He donated a big fat sack of genetics for everybody to have. And I have shirts and stuff that'll be there. And it's fucking
representing, dude.
It's breaking my heart, dude.
Oh, JR.
All right, moving on, guys. Moving on.
It's all good. I'll pick up here, man. So let's talk about well, two things that we want to dive into. There's like the sponsors that helped come in and support this event, and then we're also going to talk about the VIP kind of party that you guys do, which is always fun. So let's talk about those two things: sponsors, and then we'll dive into kind of the VIP party and what that is.
Event sponsors are just people we've always networked that make this happen, that, you know, are familiar with people in the community that believe in us as content creators, like Horticulture Lighting Group, Pulse Grow. You guys got some great sponsors as well. It's really the DGC that makes the event happen the most. So shout out to all the cats that enjoy the show, that want to come compete and want to, you know, support us in this event. This VIP party is a hang. We're actually doing it 420 this year. It starts at 420 on Friday. Seed swap. I think JR kind of might have coined that a little. Let's come make sure there's a seed swap at the VIP party. And then going on to we serve food there. What else are we going to do? We were going to do a joint rolling contest, but I'm not so sure about that. And you just get to hang a whole nother night before with some peeps that are in the DGC and have a good time. So JR's got me distracted now. I'm like, maybe we should change the subject. I'm just kidding, JR. I'm gonna miss you at the cup, man.
Hey, no, I'm good. I'm good, guys. I'm with you.
It's all
Um,
good. The one of the cool things about this event is the kind of the format of the competition. And so you guys were I was just watching the Saturday morning show just a little bit earlier. You guys were just talking about how there's all these different events, and some of them make you pay to do various things, and a lot of them are kind of weird. But yours is very straightforward, which is people can buy a slot to have their flower judged essentially, and then everyone gets to try it if they want to. So can you speak to how that's kind of set up and how you kind of did that?
Yeah, so you can buy a competitor ticket to enter the comp, which I mean those are sold out now, and then basically at that point you bring your own ounce of flour. It will be, we'll get into the nitty gritty quick because we've been working on this. You can bring it in whatever vessel you prefer. It's going to be put into a brand new vented out. Warehouse Cows already vented all of our new quart mason jars. That will be numbered, but you won't be told your number. And it'll be associated with your name. And then you basically, that bud will be put out at the different tables. Like I said, we got, I think 13 bud tenders this year, full time from the industry. So that should go really smooth. You guys can give me any critique on this. This year, we changed it up just a tiny bit. You'll have your jar of bud at a station. And then in front of that, there'll be like a tray, like a rolling tray. The bud tenders will always keep a little bit of that flour ground up in the tray. People can come up and just self-serve and pack. We had it before where the bud tenders were packing them, but it's like last year the bud tenders started grinding up a little, and that worked fine. I think that's fine to get a quick taste of it. If you're walking around and you're a competitor, you can obviously, I mean, it'd take you a minute. There's 75 strains. I'm sure eventually you might be able to find yours, and that's totally fine. At that point, if you found your flower and you're like, okay, this is my jar, maybe I can't prevent. We have the jar is numbered in a certain area, probably pretty small, but we have to have everything numbered. We can't have, even the voting vessels are going to be numbered and according with the jar. We'll even probably have a number on the trays. So everything, that's the job of the bud tenders, to keep everything, in order that route. But once like if you figure out where your jar is, everybody that is a judge has 5 voting tokens. And you want to, tell you, hey, your buddy's there. I don't care. We don't have rules to prevent. If you find out where your jar is and you're running around like crazy, self-promoting and stuff, that politics-wise, we would probably say we shun on that. We're going to send an email out, which
we know
to all the.
We always know, dude. We always find out, and we always know if politicking's going on. So if you're going to bring dishonor to the competition and you're not going to come with integrity, we will find out. Don't think that we don't know. We will know.
JR sounds I like that, JR. Damn. We should audio clip that. I'm going to put that on our show.
It just plays over the PA. It just plays over the PA while everyone's judging.
We will know.
We're going to send it to all the competitors. Clip. Dude, that is great. It's not a big problem, man. People are there to have a great time. Like I said, the competition really isn't that serious in my eyes. I know people have worked hard on their homegrown to get it there if you place well. One thing we didn't do last year, I think, which was requested, is to know, everybody wanted to know where they placed. Like after we counted out the top 10, we're like, okay, we got to get to the award ceremony. So everybody below the top 10, there were so many people. Maybe there was, in the category of some strains only got, let's say, 12 votes, or maybe some got 15, but we didn't think it was important for competitors to know that. Like I said, something we'll throw out to the community to ask, because the community is the one that helps build the event as well and gives us feedback on it. But in the end, having 75 strains of cannabis there to be judged and hang out, you won't keep everybody happy, but 90% of them.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's so incredible about what you guys do is that every year you pay attention to these little details and it gets better and better. It's a refined product. It's like Sam said, there's not very many of them left, and so this is a well thought out thing. And I want to go back to that integrity thing. The integrity of the event is meticulously thought of for the benefit of the experience. When you come to that tent and you walk down into that field, for some people it's magical, and paying attention to where you place in that group of individuals, and you paying attention to that, I think is important, dude, because to some people their home grows are their passion, and it's, and at the end of the day, I don't want that to be discouraging to people. I actually want it to be encouraging, because we all are learning and we're all honing in on our craft, and most of the people will be there. And I tell this to any of the vendors who, are wanting to participate, is that you're going to get a 99.9% crowd of growers. It's not just randos, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a very cool event that you guys have culminated and you've been working on and crafting over all these years.
Actually, I hired, like, going on Craigslist, and you can just hire stand-in people, a bunch of pink shirts just to throw off the vibe.
That'd be fun.
Go ahead, Q.
Oh, well, I was going to ask you for some tips because, since it is such a cool event, but there's only one a year. So if I was inspired and I wanted to make a cannabis type event like something like this where I live, what sort of tips do you have? Because I think like we've just been saying, you guys do such a good job. It's such a quality event. I'm sure there were things you've learned along the way in terms of like finding a venue that's cool with this sort of stuff, and
That's
whatever
the biggest
else.
barrier, man. Yeah, that's huge, because once Cultivated Synergy went out of biz during the pandemic, it was like, because that was, anybody that doesn't know, that was like a shared space for cannabis people. They did yoga there, you could put on a show there. We did our cup there maybe 3 years in a row.
3.
And it was a cool jazzy space with like a nice open kitchen. It made you feel like you're, again, like putting on a professional cool event, representing. And then from there, we're like, oh, what do we do? And luckily we found this place, Ravensdale Farm. But if you want to do something like this, then that's where are you going to do it? Where people need to be able to smoke there, whether it's, inside. That was super cool about Cultivate. We had clouds above us and we were inside. So get that barrier down. And if that means you're going to be outside, of course, you got to plan for the right time of year. Finding go into the community. People that have property or acreage that are open to you doing something like this is a good option. Your costs go up a little bit. Like I said, our tent this year is 60 feet wide by 160 long, all in, like tent and everything else. Like, you get up there, I think it's like over 20K just in setup. So know your budget. You can always start small and get bigger, unless you are a very motivated, go after professional event planner, which I think I consider myself an event planner at this point, but I learned a ton. Like JR was saying, every event, something as simple as last year, I simply forgot that the VIP party will go into the dark a little bit, and people are like, are there lights? I was like, oh shit, like, we need lights.
That was awesome.
So, but yeah, we do need more
awesome.
events, man. I would love to do more DGC Cups. Do I want to have 4 a year? I had too much stress for me, not my vibe. I enjoy this one. This one's not too scalable where we're at. Our permit allows us like 450 people, which I like, man. I don't think I'd want to manage 1,000, 2,000 plus. And I think that would take some of the community out. Like, if we started to market our event outside of DGC, which we don't take any ad space or do anything like that. It would take away, because then we would have randos there, man. I like people, don't get me wrong, but I want DGC to have the opportunity first. So
it's definitely, I think what you guys do is definitely works for your like niche. If someone was to try to replicate it, it would definitely be different, right? It wouldn't be around like a podcast or something like that, unless someone out there has a big podcast or YouTube channel or something. Otherwise it would be, more randos, I guess. And so they would have to put in a lot of work to like kind of cultivate the kind of community side of things. But anyways, I really appreciate that, man. Tips.
I got dabbed out one time before an event, the day before, almost gave me a panic attack with some Lemon G. Shout out to, I can't remember the name of the rosin company. Anyway, but going around the event day of, it's great to meet everybody. Plenty of people would be like, yeah, here's some edible, here's some of this. You just got to politely be like, dude, I love it, or I'll save some. I got to make sure I get through the event well, because there's obviously, with the amount of consumption going on, be careful. You don't have to hit every joint, which is hard not to just be, polite with people, but it's always okay to be like, no, I'm good. Like, don't say I'm working, but be like, I've got some shit going on. just because I've been there.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Well, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna into the home stretch of the show, I should say, where we're gonna be talking about
Been fun.
the Dude Grows show and talk about what's the latest and what's going on over there. If folks haven't been tuned in lately or kind of kept up with what's going on, I do want to just shout out. It's been awesome. Shout out to Grambo. We had him on a while back on the show, and it's just been really cool to see what you guys have been able to do to grow your channel up from nothing to you guys have seen some really good growth, it seems like, in the subscribers, and it's just awesome to see where you're at today. So yeah, what's the latest? What's going on over at the Dude Grows show?
Like you said, Grambo's a great addition. That's not the latest, but he cracks my shit up, so he's great. I always encourage him. Make sure you're not quiet. Like some shows, he won't come on too much, but I'm like, dude, we want you as that third voice there, man. You're funny. You're a great addition to the show. He's learning like to grow as it come along. So it's the opposite of what, how Sean was, even though I disclaim sometimes that Sean, aka Guru, wore like Google glasses just because he's pretty quick with some of the
He
info.
knew about Google Vision before it was invented. He is Google Vision.
Yeah, but we've gone through so many evolutions. Most recently, you heard it first. We do a live show every Monday, and I think our last live show will be this Monday. I believe we're going to have Rasta, Jeff, and Jaron on, hopefully. And then we're transitioning. We're still going to have a Wednesday show, a Saturday hang show. Our Wednesday show is usually, it definitely has like a grow talk section right off the top is what we want to do at that Wednesday show, is started to be like, hey, this is our grower show, not just a hang. And then we're going to have a DGC Clips channel. Hi, C. Graham, we all had a meeting, and it's like sometimes we feel putting out an hour-long show, you lose some good information, some meat in the middle. We're going to start putting out clips of shorter, whether it's going to be, I think, our next clip out. And we haven't, this channel isn't like fully launched yet. We're just building up some content. Shorter form, 10 minutes or less. Today, what's the last one we did? We did on LED. Tomorrow, we're going to do one on cannabis DUIs. It's not always going to be grow, but it's going to be more consumable content. Just what I'm told from corporate. YouTube wants, people's attention spans are getting shorter. So as long as we still have our other two long shows, I'm fine with this, because I don't like just doing things because I'm trying to get into the algorithm. But we are also, this is a crew. There's a little bit of business behind it too. We're always pushing. Shout out to Scotty and Heisty and Banner and the app, DGC app, realdgc.com. We just launched an app.
There you go. There you go.
Which is the biggest thing going on, because we are going to transition slowly from Patreon. People supporting us over on Patreon, you can just hang out there. If you just like supporting us there, not a worry. You guys will all get hit up with free memberships if you're a current DGC producer for the real DGC app. It's in the App Store. It's also PC based, but get the app if you can, where it has way more functionality. Don't get me wrong, Patreon has been good to us, but they've already been really slow to the game, bringing in some of the functionality with chatting with your members, different, forums.
Say it, dude, it was lame.
Yeah, so they might be listening, man. We still do business with them. But to have the control of that and the team behind it, couldn't do it all. Again, shout out with like Banner's our web guy. And so that is just barely launched right now. So a lot is in transition. I am super excited about the app, because I've been just tune into it anytime and just start talking grow, see somebody's grow. It's free to use too. You guys, anybody can get it in the App Store, Real DGC. And so we content on all levels, I guess, is what I'm excited about. It's what you have to do to succeed as a content creator these days. I consider myself a grower, maybe a community leader. I don't know. The community leads itself pretty well in the DGC. But also I'm a content creator. We got to keep this ship going and be adaptive to what's happening, either with YouTube or somebody's like, hey man, your hour-long shows are great, but at this point you dropped off this much. And I'm like, shit, we really talked about something cool after that. So
yeah,
that's a good update.
I appreciate that update, and I'll just speak on that real quick, because we've been, JR and I've had similar discussions, because like if you look at YouTube analytics, you have an hour-long show, a lot of people don't even make it past like the first few minutes, or 10 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it is. Like there's just a huge drop off on every YouTube video. So but that said, there's really interesting dynamics where I watch a lot of YouTube on my TV, so I like the longer episodes of stuff for some things.
There are a lot of people that do.
But then I also watch YouTube on my phone, right? So you like the shorter clips. So I think there's room for both.
Yeah,
I think keeping people company in the grow. And I did get defensive when they're like, we're going to cut one long show. And I'm like, dude, it's like, I know, even though the numbers aren't crazy, sure, 15,000 views is pretty badass. And it's like Banner said, it's who's in those views, not necessarily that it's not 75,000 views. And I don't want to sit here and make people think I don't enjoy long form content, hanging with people, keeping them company in the grow, keeping them company at work. Like, I love that. And I love that vibe.
Yeah.
No, I think it's super important, dude. And I like, I like the fact that High C and folks like that have come on though to help. Because I'll speak to the Dude Grows. It's a very, it's a very organized group of individuals. It's not just a couple dudes in the basement like it used to be day one. This Dude Grows has made an evolution in podcasting that is real and substantial. And you guys have been up against obstacles. That's, a whole nother show of talking about the bullshit. I mean, to get to 100,000 subscribers and have them yank your channel and then hand a plaque over to Mindo Dope. No offense to my bros, Mindo Dope, but what the fuck is that, bro? It's like, come on now. So it's like, you guys have been up against amazing obstacles. You're a very well-oiled machine, and now you've brought on some talent in High C, and he brings on perspective on what people are thinking and how they
He's a good mediator, man. I've worked with like behind the scenes, Scotty for many years, and have to be very open-minded to some ideas and business changes that are brought to me. And then and many times, it's hard to have that. High C is like, now Scotty, wait a minute, let Brett talk. So like, he's a good mediator, which I love.
He's like, no, we're not going to throw darts at Kyle. That's not going to happen.
So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, JR. It is, and that's the way I'm looking at it. Is you got to take advantage of your team when you're surrounded by a good team. And speaking of that, if when it comes down to whatever, you can be a one-man machine in the podcasting and the content creating world. But building a good team, which has taken a lot of trial and error, thanks mainly to Scotty, is clutch.
Quote to Banner: the barrier of entry is low.
Well, I think it's been awesome to see you guys put all this talent together, because it is I don't know. I guess just again, what we were just talking about, I really like what you guys are doing. I've been enjoying watching you guys kind of evolve with the game and add on these different videos, because just like I was saying, I consume YouTube and podcasts in a lot of different ways. So I like these different like segments and I like what you were just talking about, creating those clips, because sometimes I don't have time to watch or listen to the really long episodes, but I really want to learn those like little nuggets of or knowledge that you guys drop. So I'm really excited about that, and I've just been.
How do you guys feel?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just you're in the industry, right? You're creating content for the people that just want to hang. Some of them might just be tokers, not growers. I always think about how many growers are there. Let's say just in the states, or that potential growers. There's how many states can you still not even grow a plant? I think it's quite a few, because sometimes I'm like, dude, kind of in the business of continuing to create this community, and I'm like, how many more growers could there be? What do you think, Chair or Q? Like, there's a lot of states that don't even allow grow period on the rec level.
Sure, it's got to be at least 20, right? So that's 20 states, there's a lot like that.
There's a lot of people who are going to be coming online, and one of the things that me and Q have decided to do is we're going to start doing like demos and just documenting, journaling our experience as growers. I think he has a very unique perspective in his outdoor growing this year, his season, and I have always the indoor perspective that I can talk and kind of preach to, and I think that'll diversify some of the content a little bit and continue to pump the interviews. For us, we want to bring the message from the people who put the seed in the ground to the smoke in the air, because there's a lot of people in between, and so we want to focus on bringing the community together and educating folks in a way that'll help them level up. I mean, because that's about we have a big fight against this at every level. Our local level, I mean, we want people to be active. We want people to be active in their local communities, because like we said before, if your city says you can't smoke weed in apartment buildings, that's going to be lame. Then
Yeah, that
everyone's going to be
literally happened
sitting
where I
out
live.
front with the dude. Everyone's going to have a lawn chair and a bong out at the sidewalk, smoking down on the
Hey, but
sidewalk.
then you're smoking with, you're like, hey, I didn't know you toke. What's up, bro? You're sharing.
Yeah.
But
That's how we get them, dude. That's how we get them.
Yeah.
you're gonna have to get a good carbon filter and little fan, man. Don't, there are ways around it. Don't feel like you have to go out. Go get yourself the proper setup. Get a 2x2, put a lawn chair in it, carbon filter fan.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's so good.
But no, it's totally true. Actually, like that example that JR gave happened in my city, where they did outlaw like smoking in apartments and stuff like that. So they find ways to chip away at our rights, and so it's good to stay plugged in. And I've enjoyed this conversation. It's just so timely.
Yeah,
like you were
man.
saying, in terms of like more people learning to grow. We just this week that's wrapping up right now, the U.S. president was saying that he's pushing for Schedule 3. I know that's not full legalization by any means or anything like that, but the point is that things are moving in a certain direction, and so we just have to keep on pushing prohibition down, as you guys say on the show. And it's really important that we teach as many people to grow as possible, because even when and if a legalization happens, certain states might have weird laws about this, that, and the other thing, and so the way that you can have control over that is by growing your own. And you can do it on the DL too, just like you were saying. You can get yourself a little grow tent and a carbon filter and be good to go.
Hey, I just
don't know if
cracked
you
a
can-
pack of seeds, and one of the phenos has no smell, man. It's totally fucking great weed, but it has no smell. Like you could grow it in your living room
Interesting.
and it wouldn't stink. It was so wild. And in haste, I accidentally killed it. But I thought after the fact, oh, well, hey, man, there's a whole bunch of people in Prohibition who'd probably love to have this plant that doesn't stink, but it doesn't exist anymore, folks. Sorry.
I was gonna ask what type of terps you're gonna add back, JR.
Yeah, I'm gonna spray her down. Ready to go.
I see people talking about terp packs all the time, and I just wonder, has anyone come across these in like real life? I mean, I know they exist, but I just wonder. I've never actually smoked it myself.
I think you have to go to like Prohibition and like East Coasty stuff for that.
Yeah.
They could probably speak to it.
Actually, I don't know if they're Integra. They have good humidity packs, but they launched, and I don't know how they're doing, but they launched some boost packs that were like, I don't want to say scented, but they had like botanical.
Oh, get out of here, dude. Don't get me started on that shit.
Here's an Integra Boost terpene essentials. Again, this is just something I think they were trying. I don't want to get you started, JR. But they have like limonene, myrcene, humulene, pionine. Like you can get these packs. JR, you can't talk. Anyway, I'm not promoting. I just say that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, Raw, was it like a year or two ago? Raw started selling sprays that you could get in, smoke shops that were, various.
Oh, really? Even
yeah, no shit,
raw,
dude.
Raw sprays.
Juice it up, bro.
They were like, orange flavored, like your Tangy flavored, basically, and stuff like that.
That's too far.
Too far.
Too far.
Just grow good weed. I don't know which one of the crew said it, bro. Just grow good weed, man.
Yeah,
and if you don't like that flavor, grow a different kind of weed. That makes all kinds of flavors. You don't have to just grow one.
Well,
if every strain you get is blueberry and tastes like a blueberry, it's probably not a blueberry.
Well, we're going to wrap up the show here, but I'm going to give you, before we go, I'm going to give you a chance to give shout outs to anything that you guys are working on or anyone in the crew or anything like that. I'm just going to throw it over to you. Feel free to promote whatever you want.
Shout out to Cannabis for having me on, having us on. I know Grambo's been on. Has Scotty been on?
Yeah. He's coming back on soon. He just doesn't know it yet. We have to have another updated Grow Dots, because I know he's updated some stuff with Grow Dots, so we're gonna get him back on here.
The DGC, shout out to everybody that makes this community happen. It's amazing, what it does, just kind of on its own running smooth. I love it. I love to hear some great stories of people helping people out. The DGC app, man, realdgc.com. Go to the App Store, Real DGC. And yeah, dude grows. Just thanks to everybody that makes this happen. I'm not surprised that it's still happening. I always joke like, man, if I was live still like in town and had to go to the bakery every day, I might get burnt out. But actually, I miss being there, man. It's always good to be in person with the team and yeah, get her done.
Yeah, no, shout
Also, I
out
don't
to
know
you
for you
guys.
guys, our content creators, when I'm back in town, it's like how easy a conversation is sitting. I mean, it's easy to do the show remotely. We're doing it now. We're having a good show, but sitting right next to somebody, and it's actually, I believe, one of the rules, which I get at that level, of course. Like if you are invited to go on Joe Rogan, you have to show up in person. He's like, when we couldn't be in person, he tried some remote ones. He's like, dude, it totally sucked compared to like somebody's vibe, both in the same room. So I do miss that. Get me on a rant now, but just wanted to say that.
Oh, it is
I'll
true.
come see you,
There's so
dude.
much more energy that you just kind of feed off of each other's energy in person. Well, I was just
Exactly.
gonna say shout out to you guys for just like I said at the top of the show, you guys are always like rolling with the punches. I feel like I've really seen you guys kind
Thank
of
you.
reinvent yourselves in the past year and really pushed and pulled yourselves in new directions that I think was really healthy and good for the show. And it's just been cool to see you guys kind of take on this next chapter in a way, in like an aggressive way. And it's not like you're like, I don't know. I was just gonna say you're like not letting something happen to you. You guys are like happening at it, and it's really cool to see. And I'm just excited to see,
Man, that's nice,
what the
Q.
rest of the year comes. What it brings for you.
I think we have to reinvent ourselves because we're getting older. I was actually watching a little dude grows last night on the YouTube, giving it the test. Got home after the concert, had a couple mushroom capsules, still a little buzz going on. I'm like, dude, the show's kind of interesting. And I'm looking at Scotty and his goatee's like really white. And I'm like, Grambo,
Yeah,
because he's done some
wow.
weird edits. So I texted Scotty. He's like, no, there's no edits there, jackass. He's like, it's really that white. I'm like, damn.
I know. Look at us, dude. We're getting gray. I mean, Scotty, I think we're a year apart. You're about 3 or 4 years younger than us, I think, if I'm
I'm in
right.
my 40s, JR. I just do
Yeah, not for long,
decade.
buddy. You say that like you're 42. You're not 42, bro.
I'm tempted to go to the DGC Cup and do like a really awkward dark, like
Yeah,
make
bro,
this
my
black or
dad
just
did
something.
that. My dad did that. He looked like Carlo Montavon. Like he had like these really black eyebrows, black ass mustache, and his hair was brown. It just was not.
Dude, my dad did it too. Different times. They got him with that marketing, man.
Yeah,
Weird.
for men.
I was watching.
Anyway.
I was watching the Saturday show earlier, and my wife looked over at my screen, and she said, "That guy looks like Gerard Butler." And she was talking about you. So Gerard
Is that
Butler
a
is like,
compliment?
yeah, he's the guy from
Is that good or
remember
bad? I don't know.
Sparta? Like, we are Sparta, and he kicks the
Oh,
guy out.
okay, that's
like
good,
300, the movie 300.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
good. You
damn,
are
okay.
Sparta, dude. Nice.
All right.
I'll
Oh, look
take
at this
it.
dude. That's a full compliment, man. All right. I'm gonna tell my wife now. I gotta go. Like, I look like this guy. Did you know
That's
that?
right. We're putting the sexy shorts on tonight, honey.
Oh, Jesus.
That's
All
funny.
right. Thank you guys, man. I don't know. I say stay higher.
I'm gonna
Are we
miss you,
wrapping?
dude.
Appreciate
I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you, brother. I'm gonna miss you,
you
man.
you as well. Is it disrespectful to be like, you're a DDC Cup mascot, man?
Yeah, I love the JR tokens. I love those.
Oh, yeah. Fresh
Yeah.
batch of JR tokens this year for sure.
Yeah, tokens of
Right on,
love.
guys.
Well, we're
will,
gonna we'll do the wrap up.
Yeah, I
on our
know.
end
Dude's
because you're
wrapping
not-
up. He's a
yeah.
podcaster. He's wrap it up for us, dude.
He's wrapping up our own show, but we're gonna wrap it up. Shout out to everyone in the live stream. We had folks in the live chat, Canabridge, a bunch of folks from the community.
out.
We're gonna be doing a recharge hat giveaway. I'll look at everyone that joined the stream, and I'll do this hat giveaway. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to the sponsors of the show. We really appreciate you guys. And then also make sure to check out the Dude Grows Show channel, the great channel. I'm excited to hear, and I'm going to check out that Clips channel. And then also
you
check
got-
out our channel to see
Yeah.
some new videos that we just uploaded a couple days ago. But go ahead, Brett.
If you run into any cannabis in Canada, I got their shipping. I got a DDC hat here. I got some Lost Coast plant therapy hats. So if you got Canadian cannabis, I can take care of a few.
And we do
No worries.
Canabridge is actually. So hit him up, dude. At Dude Grows.
Awesome.
Right
Come
Well,
on, guys.
thank you so much for watching, guys. We've had a great time hanging out with today. And as always, JR, Growers.
Growers love.